Hello, everybody. Welcome back to JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Your old buddy Charlie here with you this morning, and our main man Stu. And we are here with a special edition midweek sales video. We had a big day of sales yesterday, some major changes in our store, and that led to some tremendous increases in volume. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a lot for the end of the week. And it's enough that I think I can make a single day's video for the first time. So why don't we do that today? So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to see today's sales video. Welcome back, everybody. We are back and we are ready to dive into a sales day video. Now, these sales are actually not the full day's sales. I already packed some up. I've got them ready to ship out. Looks like I took them upstairs already, and they're ready to go out the door. But this is another order that I did not pack yet. This is going to be one single order today. Over 40 cards in this order. And I thought I would just do a day sales to share those rather than saving these all for our normal Sunday sales video. Because if I did save it, and if trends continue the way they did yesterday, we are going to have a long sales video on Sunday. So I might have to think about changing up how I've been doing this. But I consider this a special midweek edition of What's Selling with Stu. So let's jump right in and take a look at these cards. All right, we got the card cam up. We're going to throw each card on this order under the camera here, and we'll check them out. Again, big sale. My biggest single order sale so far since I've been doing this. Driven by some changes in my store to kind of maximize multi-card sales. That seems to have been a successful marketing campaign based on day one sales. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. So the first card that we have for this buyer, and this buyer bought from a number of different categories, and a lot of diverse groupings of cards. It was really a home run in terms of a buy because it wasn't just one category that the buyer dug into and made a big dent in. It was spread out across a couple of different sports and some non-sport. So it was really good to see. This first card here is Old Thunder and Lightning, Ben Roethlisberger, Juju Smith-Schuster. This is a 2019 Panini Playoff Thunder and Lightning insert. Pretty cool card. I always like the Thunder and Lightnings. I like the dual player images. Steelers have a good following, so I thought this one would be pretty easy sell. I don't think I've had this card too long, so good to see that one go out the door. Up next is Green Bay hero Brett Favre. This is a 1993 playoff. Typical type of image. I like what they did where they made the background image sepia, and then Brett Favre is in the color green popping out there. It makes you look more than once at the card and figure out what's going on there. So I know it caught my attention, and clearly it caught my buyer's attention as well. Up next, we're getting a little color in here. we've got a Panini Mosaic, 2022 Panini Mosaic, Steve Young green prism from the Hall of Fame inserts. Another fun card. I grab these a lot. I think they've got a nice look to them. This is the green prism parallel, so you see the background is all green there. But the Panini Mosaics, I think they get a bad rap. They don't cost a lot. They're not a high price point, but they've got a cool look to them. A lot of people like these cards. I sell quite a few of them. In fact, I've got a couple more coming up right now. Here is 2022 Panini Mosaic Tony Romo in the orange reactive prism. The orange reactives, I see them probably more than anything else, even more than the silver prisms. And they tend to sell pretty well also, especially if you can get a color match with the orange. So Tony went out the door. Nice little sale there. Green Prism, 2020 this time, Panini Mosaic. Eli Manning Green Prism. Another nice looking card there. The green just seems to work well with the Prism designs. The green and the blue kind of coordinate together there with the Giants colors. So sharp looking card. Nice to see that go out the door. Another Eli Manning. This one is a 2022 Panini Mosaic Eli Manning center stage insert in the silver prism parallel. So I like the little like crosshairs or compass bearings, if you will, in the middle. Eli Manning's stepping out of them. His upper body is kind of coming out of that design feature. Center stage is kind of a cool idea. I don't see these inserts a lot, so when I did see one, I definitely picked it up, and you can see why. We made a nice little sale with that. Next one's one of my favorite players growing up, Eric Dickerson. So we've got a 2022 Panini Mosaic Prism of Eric Dickerson. This is the silver prism. Eric Dickerson was a prolific running back in the 80s and early 90s, I believe. Not sure exactly when he retired, but I feel like he was playing as I was well into my high school years, as I was reaching graduation. So I think there was a little bit of early 90s. In fact, let me look at the back here. It's just got his career stats. It doesn't say what years he played. I'm not going to look that up today. I'll let you do that on your own if you're really interested. But I know he played quite a while, and he was the single season record holder for rushing for the longest time. He was up there in the top 3 to 5 in all-time rushing as well. Really a sharp, talented running back. Always known for wearing those sport goggles. Had a unique look about him. So nice to see an Eric Dickerson sale. Up next, we've got a more modern player. We've got Christian McCaffrey in his Carolina Panthers days. This is a 2022 Panini Mosaic Christian McCaffrey Thunder Lane. Pretty common insert from Panini. Another nice sale. His 49ers stuff does sell better now, at least for me, but I still sell some of his Carolina Panthers cards as well. So now we're going to change channels on us. We just went through a bunch of football cards. Now this buyer dug into some wrestling cards. We got to have some wrestling cards. This is a 2022 Upper Deck AEW main features insert of Bryan Danielson, or as he was known in the WWE, Daniel Bryan. He's long been an indie darling in the wrestling scene. He made the jump to WWE maybe like 10 years ago, was a huge success there. And then he moved on over to AEW. I think the moniker he uses over there is the American Dragon or something like that. But really, really a talented technician in the ring. Pretty good skills all around with the microphone as well. And married to one of the Bella sisters. All right, then I'm gonna switch out our cards here. Then our buyer switched up to a little basketball, and we've got a Shaq card that the buyer bought. This is a 1995-96 Fleer end-to-end Shaquille O'Neal from his time with the Orlando Magic. And personally, for me, Shaq is always an Orlando Magic first. I don't really care as much about the Heat. I don't care about the Lakers. I don't care about Celtics. The Celtics time was like a throwaway time. To me, Shaq will always be remembered as an Orlando Magic's player, and especially playing for the Magic on NBA Jam. Cannot get those memories out of my head. That was a lot of good times in the arcades as a kid. Next up is a card that I picked up, I believe, at our local card shop. Obviously, I got it at a really good price, or I probably wouldn't have picked this up because it's kind of a unique choice of a card. But occasionally, I like to grab some cards if they're the right price for players that I think true hardcore fans of that team will have an appreciation for. And that's the case here when I grabbed my Elvis Gerbach here of the San Francisco 49ers. So this is a 1997 Leaf Elvis Gerbach base. And my buyer agreed. He thought that was a nice card to have as well. He picked that up in this large multi-card order. Up next, we move on to some Skybox, and we move on to Metal Universe, which is one of my favorite low-end sets to get. I buy these quite a few times a year, but this one, we got the answer right here. We've got a 2022 Skybox Metal Universe Champions, Allen Iverson. Iverson is a featured athlete in the Skybox Metal sets of recent years. He comes up a lot for me. I do move quite a few of his cards, even though they are not NBA licensed and he's not in any NBA gear. But he's a Hall of Fame player. He's iconic. He's got the, amazing media moment about practice. Practice? We're talking about practice. I can't talk about a practice without thinking of Allen Iverson saying that these days. So that kind of explains to you the power of the media with certain players and with the hobby. Just like Jim Mora is popular again in the NFL for his playoffs commercial with Kevin Hart. You could probably move some Jim Mora cards right now if you have them, because he's top of mind for people because of those kind of iconic media moments. All right. Then we're going to jump back to wrestling for a card. We've got The Rock 2022 Panini Chronicles Absolute WWE The Rock. Getting ready to drop the people's elbow on someone there. He had this routine. He'd pull the elbow pad off, standing over his, beaten down opponent. He would throw it into the crowd, and then he would rebound off the ring ropes a couple times and drop that elbow. A move that, if you're not aware, started as a way to make the other boys in the locker room laugh. I think he was talking with The Undertaker and a few others about, doing some kind of over-the-top move that would be highly unbelievable as a real damaging move on someone, but would be a finisher. And it was his people's elbow. He would just drop the elbow on their chest, and that was the people's elbow. Then we bounced over to MMA. Not too surprised by this guy. Conor McGregor. We've got a Craftsman insert from the 2022 Panini Donruss UFC set. Nice MMA sale to add into this. I don't disagree with that buy at all. That's one that I think is a sharp design. It's modern. It's clean. It's an iconic athlete on the card. I think that's a great buy here as we go through the cards. Then we're going to bounce back to wrestling again. And this is unique because this is a 2022 Panini Chronicles Origins WWE Gunther. And if you recognize Gunther from watching wrestling right now, you know that he went through a name change, which is common in wrestling. Gunther became, he started as Walter in NXT UK, and then came over to NXT and went through a name change to Gunther. And he works with a stable called Imperium, which is like this upper class, snobby, we're wrestling technicians in the ring, nobody's better than us faction. And he is their leader. Now broke the record for longest reigning intercontinental title holder. We'll be curious to see how long until they break that streak. I believe it's over 2 years or something now. So it's always interesting to build up those streaks of title holders to kind of see when they're going to choose to break that title run and why. And then we have another Origins card. This one goes back to a legend. He does some movies these days. He's in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. Another Origins card. So 2022 Panini Chronicles Origins WWE. This one is the Animal Batista. He was in an area where I kind of got away from wrestling for a period. He had a title run, heavyweight title run. Was kind of the man for a while, but then chose to go into acting after he retired. And he did make an appearance. Gosh, was it 2 years ago already, or maybe a year ago? I think it was like a Royal Rumble or something like that. He came back for a short run, see what he could do, and then left just as quickly again. But he really was an animal in the ring. He had some vicious moves. He looked like he did everything with a lot of power. So nice to see that sale. Then we went into some auto racing, and we went in the NASCAR. Our buyer picked up a 2021 Panini Prism Racing Jeff Gordon of the flashbacks insert or variation. So you can see a picture of Jeff Gordon on the left from his later years, and a picture of Jeff Gordon on the right in black and white from his early rookie years. Nice to see that juxtaposition of the two different images and see as the driver develops through the years. Jeff Gordon wasn't that old when he retired, so it's not a real dramatic change in this image, but you can certainly see how young and youthful he was in that image on the right. Then we jumped over to another basketball card. Not a surprise here. This is the GOAT, Michael Jordan. We've got a 1997-98 Upper Deck Collector's Choice Hot Properties, Michael Jordan from his time with the Chicago Bulls. Dun, 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 dun. I still can hear the entrance music for the team as they come out onto the court. It was such an intimidating theme. Anytime you hear it, I think you're going to think of the Chicago Bulls. And when you start thinking about the starting five for the Bulls taking the court, you're going to think about that theme music. I can't think of the name of it, but it is certainly running through my head right now. I can hear the whole musical delivery of it. All right, then we're going to go back to some football and Panini Mosaic. We've got a George Kittle 2022 Panini Mosaic Green Prism of George Kittle with the San Francisco 49ers. I loaded up on a lot of Kittle this football season just because the 49ers were on such a great run. But Kittle did not move a whole lot. So I sold a few George Kittles in this multi-card sale. It was good to see because he certainly doesn't move as much as other 49ers like McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. I think I even sold some more Brandon Ayuk than I did George Kittle. So tight ends are kind of they're they're not as respected in the hobby, I guess I would say. It's kind of like catchers in baseball. You can have some great players there, but because of the position, their hobby is a little bit limited. All right, and then we have another George Kittle here, I believe. And we gotta change our alignment for this one. We got a horizontal card. We've got a 2022 Panini Mosaic Bang insert, again of George Kittle. We got a little bright reflection there. Let's see if I can work that a little bit. Yeah, so these ones are not my favorite insert. I will definitely say that. I think they're a little too busy with that Bang outlay, serving as kind of a front frame on that. I'd like to see more of the images. I guess that's just me and my preferences in cards. I think they're so limited in the image here that it's not a card that I seek out. But I do pick them up here and there for the right player. And other people seem to like them. They do continue to move. I'm going to reset here, and we'll move on to our next 49er, because they are selling well. And I just got done talking about Brandon Ayuk. So this is a 2021 Panini Mosaic Silver Prism Brandon Ayuk. So you can see some nice color in there. That's a nice clean image, kind of a classic traditional type of card. Good to see that halo effect on there as a refractor. Up next, hot commodity this year, we've got some Lamar Jackson. He sold really well this year. This is a 2022 Panini Prestige franchise favorites insert of Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. Nice little background with the Raven logo in there. It's really subtle. I like that. It's got a little bit of a holofoil finish on it. You could call this a prism if you want. It's prismatic, but it's not officially listed as a prism, I believe. This is more of what they would call a holofoil. But a pretty cool card. When I picked that up out of a box, I knew that I would have no trouble moving that. And then this next guy had a little bit of a resurgence this year. We got a Baker Mayfield card, 2019 Panini Certified Seal of Approval insert of Baker Mayfield with his time with the Cleveland Browns. Of course, he signed on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe, and had a resurgent season this year. Really had a strong season. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. He's always had the talent. I don't think he's been on a lot of great teams, which has been a hindrance to him and his card values. But we'll see what he can do. He should have a couple good years left. And if they build a decent squad around him there in Tampa Bay, he's got a shot to maybe win a Super Bowl finally. All right, we're going to stick with football, and we're going to go back to Panini Mosaic. This is a 2021 Panini Mosaic base prism of Matthew Stafford. So you can see a little color in there as well. Stafford continues to be a steady, if not spectacular, seller. Both his Lions cards and his Rams cards typically move before too long. So here we've got him in his Lions uni. He's dropped back, surveying the field, getting ready to throw. Nice little classic image here. Then we're going to bounce back to Lamar Jackson. Like I said, he's selling well. Pretty much any card of Lamar Jackson you can turn. This one in particular is a 2022 Panini Mosaic Stairmasters insert. Lamar with that little bit of what do we call that background? Kind of kaleidoscope background there. We've got the dual image, the black and white in the upper right-hand corner. We've got the primary image in color in the middle of the card. Just a sharp little insert set. It's not anything too special by any means, but I think it's got some good eye appeal. Then our buyer jumps back to auto racing and goes NASCAR and picks up a little Martin Truex. Did Martin Truex win the the NASCAR Cup last year? I think he did. A 2007 press pass after party of Martin Truex. So you see him after the race celebrating his victory. Got the gold foil badge on it for the press pass logo. Nice little card from the 90s. I've got quite a few NASCAR cards from the late 90s, and I think they did a pretty good job with the designs back then. Up next is another NASCAR, and this one's horizontal, so we'll flip that around a little bit. We've got a Kurt Busch sighting. Kurt Busch sighting with the Miller Lite car. This is also a press pass. They were pretty well known for their NASCAR offerings. This one is, I said in the 90s. I was talking about in the 90s. That last one was a 2007. This one was 2006, so I'm off on my dates a little bit. But this one's this Kurt Busch is a 2006 press pass VIP, and a dual image there. We got the black and white to the right. We've got the color to the left. It looks like that's kind of a then and now photo as well. I don't know that for certain, but that image on the right looks like he's quite a bit younger than the image on the left. Few less miles on that chassis. So that's one of the things I like about dual images is they can really compare and contrast athletes' younger years with their older years. I'm going to reset again, get a new stack ready. We're going to stay with racing. We're going to go to the King, Mr. the King. We've got a Richard Petty, and this is a 2021 Panini Prism Racing Flashbacks variation. I don't think these are inserts. If I recall, these are variations in the base set. Kind of like you'll get a base numbered card that could be called a Legends sometimes. The rated rookies, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the rated rookies. Technically, they're part of the base set. They're just a variation design. So that's what these flashbacks are. And Richard Petty is, they call him the King for a reason. I grab Richard Petty as often as I find them because I know they're going to move. So he's got his iconic hat and his modern years. Again, that dual image. We've got the older image on the right in black and white, back before he donned the cowboy hat. And then we've got the more modern image on the left in color with his shades and the cowboy hat, all the things he really became known for in his image. Then our buyer bounced back to some wrestling. We've got the bad guy, Razor Ramon. This guy, also known as Scott Hall, he was part of the Clique with Scott Hall and a few others. Shawn Michaels, I believe, as well, and Triple H. He's a guy that kind of lumbered around for a little while in AEW and a little bit in WWE before, not AEW, WCW and WWE. That's what I'm looking for. But then he hit on this Razor Ramon character and it just clicked. So he was this Latino bad guy character from like Miami. Always had the toothpick and he would throw the toothpick at you when he was done talking to you. Referred to himself as the bad guy, called everybody Chico. So he was a cool character. Even in his older years, he has since passed, unfortunately. I believe about a year ago he passed away. Battled some drug and alcohol addictions, I believe. But he was a iconic wrestler. So anytime I see somebody like that, I pick them up in a value box, and here it certainly paid off. I found a forever home with a buyer. Sticking with wrestling, we've got the Demon Finn Balor 2022 Panini Prism WWE Legend it says legend. I don't think this is actually a legend because he's a modern wrestler. It's possible I just had a typo in that listing, but it is the red, white, and blue Prism. So the Demon Finn Balor is So Finn Balor came up through the European scene. He's from Ireland, and he became known as this wrestler who would put on just phenomenal productions with his entrance. He would do different superhero characters, different movie-themed characters. I remember Jack the Ripper he did once in WWE as well. But the Demon is his primary one that he's used in WWE. He kind of dropped it over a year ago. And I think that's inevitable sometimes. As a wrestler, you can't just rely on your entrance gimmick, right? He brings it out occasionally now for just high profile matches. But the idea is the Demon takes over Finn Balor, and he is a different type of wrestler when the Demon comes out. He has really cool music with it. He comes out in smoke. He comes out crawling on all fours. It's really a nice production. I have a lot of appreciation for it. It does seem special when he does it, and that's what a wrestler is looking for when they do, a character or a production like that. So he definitely nailed it with the Demon. All right, we got another horizontal card here. Let me flip this whole stack if I can. This is a 1992 Mega Cards Babe Ruth. It wants to spin on that. I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. We'll reset the stack, and now we're not going to have to worry about that spinning. So this is, as I said, 1992 Mega Cards, and it's a Babe Ruth card in his lineup here with the Boston Red Sox. You can see him there in about the middle of the screen right there. And this commemorates Hurl's 14 innings complete game gem in 1916. I love the history of the game. I will pick up cards like this anytime I can find an iconic player like Babe Ruth in it. It just helps tell the story of the game. All right, up next, we'll go back to the vertical alignment and stick with baseball, and we went with Derek Jeter, old number 2 himself, the captain. We've got second season standouts, 2000 Upper Deck MVP, second season standouts of Derek Jeter with the Yankees. Got a little hollow foil finish on that. We got a dual image on that. Nice card, and I do have one left still in the store. I think I'll have no problem moving that one shortly too. At the top, it's got a little headline: Jeter propels Yankees to victory. Then we bounce back to football with a little John Elway. This is a 1996 Topps John Elway 3,000-yard club card. Unique design. It's got kind of that honeycomb design on it. I like that. I'd like to see a few of those come back now and then. I don't really see that. Well, I guess if you think about it, Panini Mosaic is kind of modeled after that, isn't it? Panini Mosaic is actually a step further with more prismatic reactive type of printing, but I can see where this might have inspired that. And then we jump back to wrestling with a Topps Finest card. We've got a 2020 Topps Finest Walter. So I talked about that on an earlier card for this order. That was Gunther. Same gentleman. He went through a name change and character evolution in WWE. He went from Walter to Gunther. He was very dominant as Walter in NXT and NXT UK as well. But when they brought him in the main roster, they changed the name to Gunther. I think he would have been successful either way, as Walter or Gunther. So that's one of those where they may have overthought things a little bit. But I'll tell you what, he sells as either Walter or Gunther. And we'll go into more NASCAR here with Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. We've got a 1992 Max Red Parallel Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott won like 5 cups in a row, and then they started changing the rules because they thought he must have found a glitch in the system and found a way to cheat the system or something. He was so dominant. So I like to grab his cards when I find them because there's a lot of folks that would put him right up there with like a Richard Petty as one of the greatest of all times. Then we switch back to football with a really nice looking card. This is a Marcus Allen. It's a 1997 Flair Showcase. And on my listing, I even specified, if we look at the back here for a second, I got a little extra card. If we look at the back, there we go, up in that corner. It says seat 32. On this corner, it says row 1. I actually included that information as well in my listing. I put section 1, row 1, seat 32, just as it's listed in the checklist. Marcus Allen in his Chiefs days, Hall of Fame running back, had big years with the Raiders, and then went on to the Chiefs for the last couple seasons of his career. I don't recall him playing with anyone else. I think it was just the Raiders and the Chiefs. Could be wrong, though. He could have had another stop somewhere in between there as he got on in years. A lot of athletes will do that. And of course, back then they weren't playing for as much money as they are today, so they needed to get those extra couple of years in to be able to be set in retirement, even with the NFL pension. So nice card there, Hall of Famer. Always good to sell some of those all-time greats. Then, speaking of all-time greats, we've got a Dan Marino for this buyer, a 2023 Panini Prism draft picks Dan Marino from his Pittsburgh Panthers college days. I've got an affinity for these throwbacks in like star players' college days. I pick them up a lot, and they do sell, so I'm going to continue to get those. All right, I'm going to reset here because we've got a change in card size for this next one. We've got the captain again, and we've got him in a little mini version. This is a 2007 Upper Deck Goudet Derek Jeter, and it's like that 3/4 size card, the big league mini insert. I like these. I've found a few of them in a box of some pretty prominent players. There's a look at the back. They are made by Upper Deck. The Goudet brand is a throwback to a past card manufacturer back in the day. Nice little card here. Got a pretty basic overview on the back, but the image I thought was really nice. Clean. You got the diamond in the background illustrated, and then you got Derek in the foreground. Nice, crisp, clear image. Whenever I see a mini card that is in great condition, the corners are great, there's no creases, I grab it, because that's the main thing with minis is they get more limited as the years go by because they're really hard to keep in good condition. The smaller size, the odd size with the rustier condition means a lot of times they get shuffled in and out with other things, and they're in things in protective things sometimes that aren't really made for them. So over time, I think my opinion is they get worn a little faster, so it's harder to find them in pristine condition. This card is not that old yet. What do we got? 17 years old. So it's getting there, but look at the condition. It's just immaculate. So good buy, good sell there. Now, again, we're going into some Hall of Famers. We've got a Len Dawson from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a 2012 Topps QB Immortals. Len Dawson from the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, I like to pick up some of these legends. This one's got a nice look. It's got that bronze foil logo on there. That's the QB Immortals logo on there. Cool image. It's classic, clean image. Looks like he's getting ready to scramble there. Looks like I made the decision picking this one up because I was able to move that. I will pick more Len Dawson up when I see him, but I quite honestly, I don't see a lot of Len Dawson out there. Next, sticking with football, we've got our hometown Green Bay Packers, and we've got the Claymaker, Clay Matthews. This is a Topps Platinum card. So a little higher end card, certainly not top of the echelon, but certainly more prestigious than Topps flagship stuff. We got a nice hollow foil finish on that. Nice clean card. Looks like he is in motion here during a play. 2014 is the year on this set, so he was still pretty relevant then. He's gotten pretty far from the playing field at this point, but our hometown folks certainly still have a lot of reverence for Clay Matthews. He is a hometown hero, if you will. Had a lot of great years here in Green Bay. So I like to pick up a few of him here and there. I don't get a lot, but I pick up a few here and there, and this time it paid off. All right, we're nearing the end here. I think we got 3 more. So now our buyer jumped over to basketball, and this 2022 Chronicles Revolution draft picks in the Astro parallel, so you can see the stars in the background. And we got our man Shaq on this one from his college days at LSU. This image really stands out to me all the time, and it stands out because of how young and how thin he is. Like, he was a big dude back then, but he really became massive as his NBA career started. He bulked up, added a lot of muscle. He's certainly in great shape here, but what strikes me is how thin how thin and narrow his arms and legs are, because as you look at his later career in the NBA, dude was massive. Like, you could not move him in the paint. And that's one of the things that made him such a legendary Hall of Fame player, is he had the physical tools, but he also had the athleticism that he could, take the ball down the court. In fact, looks like he's dribbling in this pose right here. I remember when he came up in college and he was this phenom, that was the big thing, is the news stations would play clips of him running the offense down the floor at times, and running end-to-end with the ball. And you don't typically see big men that can handle the rock the way he did when he came up. All right, 2 more. We're going to jump back to wrestling. Our last wrestling card of the day for this buyer. We've got a 2018 Topps Legends of WWE Kane, the Big Red Machine, previously known as Dr. Isaac Yankem, DDS. Before he hit on the Kane character, he had a dentist character, and it's really interesting to see the two side by side if you ever get a chance to do that. This particular gentleman that did the Kane character, I believe his name is Glenn Jacobs. He's now the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. So, fun fact on that. His storyline was he's the brother of The Undertaker. Everybody probably knows The Undertaker. The Undertaker thought Kane died in a fire when they were kids, and then Kane comes back at some point, and they became the Brothers of Destruction. Kane eventually lost the mask later in his career. The storyline was he was horribly disfigured in that fire, so he wore the mask to cover the scars. But then he eventually had the mask removed, and I think there may have even been a storyline where he had a little plastic surgery as well. And in the end, all he had was like one eye that was blue or something like that, and the other was a different color. So the mask eventually went away so that Glenn Jacobs could get some FaceTime, I'm sure. But an iconic character in the WWE. All right. And our last card of the day, we're going to go back to baseball. And you want to talk about ultra modern. This is hot off the presses. This was just released last week, Wednesday. This is a 2024 Topps Series 1 flagship card that just released last week. It is the Yankees team card. And for good measure, our buyer threw that in. It is a little unique, and you see the Yankees sporting the green hats. I didn't even notice that when I first pulled that out of the box. It wasn't until after I listed it that I said, wait, something's different about that card. So our last sale of the day for this order, let's see, how many total cards are in that? Got to scroll back up to the top of my list. 43 cards for this buyer. Really a tremendous sale. And the result of some changes I did in my store. So if you want to see what 43 cards looks like, there's the stack. So I'm going to have to send this Ground Advantage today. There's no way I'm going to get this into a standard envelope. So I'll pay $4 or $5 to ship that out. That order was, let's see, before all the taxes. Another fun fact, because there's, I don't know if you know this, I just found it out through this order. eBay has a limit of 40 cards per order. So because this is 43, it actually broke it into 2 orders that I had to then combine for the shipping. But the 2 together are about $70, $70 and change for those 43 cards. So, you know, on an average, a little less than $2 a card. I'm okay with that because these were good card show buys. I got good prices on that. Because this buyer bought in bulk for me, I saved on a lot of shipping costs and packaging costs and eBay fees. So I was able to pass a lot of that savings on to this buyer. So this buyer used my new I take that back. This buyer did not use the coupon that I set up for multi-card buys. This particular buyer actually sent me offers on each of these, which is not that unique. I talked to the Dollar Box, I had him over at the Dollar Box about this because he does a lot of multi-card sales. And he said that's really common, that even though there's a coupon out there and people could put them all in their cart, a lot of people still do offers one by one. And then what I do is once I accept those offers, I invoice them all in as few orders as possible. So in this case, it was 2, to just be add a little more convenience in paying that order off instead of paying each individual transaction. And then you group them together like that, and you get one order versus 43 different orders. So yeah, exciting. This is by far the biggest single order I've had. I think prior to this, the biggest order I've had is about 9 or 10 orders, maybe 15. So 43 by far sets a new personal store record for me. Certainly with the rest of the cards that shipped for the day, I think we shipped out about 60 cards on the day. That is a new store record as well. So things definitely continue to grow here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. It keeps Stu and I busy, so I hope you enjoyed this. If we continue to grow in our daily sales like this, we're probably going to have to do more daily sales videos versus waiting until the end of the week. So let me know what you think. If you like this, hit that like button. If it's your first time here and you're checking it out and you like it, hit that subscribe button so you can get notifications when we've got new content out there. That is all for us today. Until next time, this is me and Stu saying...